Blog Talk Radio.
But we are making a stand, and we're waking everybody up that 9/11 was an inside job. And you are the minority. You are the cowards who don't know the truth. You're the people that serve this evil system. You're the people that serve a system that hurts innocent men, women, and children. Not just Iraqis, not just Afghans, not just Africans, but the people right here in this nation. You serve a new world order that attacks and feeds on you. And I'm here to tell you that you will be defeated. Your hours are numbered. We've got the energy. We've got the life force. All you've got is evil backing you up. All you've got is greed and liking to look at yourself in the mirror. Because deep down, the New World Order is a pot-bellied, chicken-neck ninny. And all the armor and all the weapons are nothing. You are nothing compared to good. You are nothing compared to life. And you will be defeated. I want the individuals out there, I want free humanity to turn themselves loose, to cut the chains loose, and to use the end of that chain to slap the New World Order right upside the head. You've got the power. You want to know who's going to defeat the New World Order? It is you. You're the individuals that are going to be able to defeat this system. You're the individuals that are going to be able to take down the New World Order. It doesn't matter if Ron Paul wins. It doesn't matter if they rig the election. What matters is that we're starting to stand up. We're starting to move. We're starting to find our legs. We're starting to build our muscles. We're starting to realize that we do have power, and we can work together, and we can take action, and that the naysayers are a pack of weak liars who have never had any successes in their life and who are upset and frustrated to see us beginning to have victories against tyranny. They don't have any respect for themselves. They don't have any vision, and they don't have any will. And they sure don't have any of the power that shines out of God's soul and energizes all life in the universe. They have wed themselves to death, and they will crumble, and they will fall, and for eternity we wed ourselves to life, and to everything good, and everything that flows from it.
All right, everybody, how you doing? My name is Joseph Gibson. We are having severe technical difficulties again tonight. And I know there's a large audience, so please bear with me for the next 4 or 5 minutes. If this can't be solved, then obviously the show would be canceled because as of right now, there's no studio screen. This has happened a couple times in the past. Some of you actually know about this, and you've been on the show. And if I have no studio, there's just no possible way I can run a program tonight at all. Even with us, I have a guest scheduled for tonight. I don't know what's going on with the internet connection that I have, or with the Blog Talk radio program. It could be another problem with Blog Talk. We don't know. But I'll have to contact my guest within the next few minutes if there's going to be a problem. Just bear with me. I know everyone lives busy lives, and that's very hard to handle. 5 minutes maybe of dead silence. But we are attempting to fix the problem, at least at my end, if it is my end. So I've been working on it for the last 30 minutes, actually. And, this is just getting ridiculous. Especially the internet connection I have, AT&T. They're terrible. Time Warner's even worse. Right now I have no call screen, and I'm working on 3 laptops right now trying to get this program connected. That's how bad it is right now. However, if I am unable to connect for some reason, why I do not know, then we will carry on with the show on Sunday, which I have a very special guest that was scheduled to appear tonight. And it's an important issue. It's a very important issue that we were going to talk about. The woman that we were going to have on the program tonight, her name is Brenda Maney from Richmond, Kentucky. Her kids were removed in November of 2012 due to a social worker being called by a friend Her friend was trying to get her some help. She was facing eviction at that time, and she had been sick with a newborn, and she also has a 11-year-old who has special needs, and on top of it, she had no vehicle transportation at that time, and she was dealing with some hard times. And the only people she could really turn to with no friends or family was the Department of Social Services. And when you're at the hands of the Department of Social Services, what usually happens? You have to tap dance to their beck and call. Otherwise, if not, then your kids will be taken away, and it's disgusting. It really is. It's disgusting. Why do we have these governmental programs that absolutely do nothing whatsoever to help the average individual out there? I mean, like I said, if you don't tap dance to their beck and call, they threaten to take your children away, and it's terrible. It really is, and that's what we are planning on discussing tonight. Like I said, there's major technical difficulties going on. I know I have many callers on the line tonight. I believe it's going to be fixed within the next couple minutes. I've already emailed Blog Talk Radio and told them, this is just absolutely ridiculous. Every couple months we have these problems, and they're good with archiving the shows, and they're good with but like a lot of people have complained, they try to log on to the show, and all they get is advertisements. See, right now I'm trying to log into my studio, and I'm not getting anything. And I have Blog Talk site up right now, so I believe I'll be able to connect here in a couple minutes. So I guess I'll just go ahead and keep talking about my guest. At that time, she was a single mom. She's disabled, and due to being at her past, she was actually a foster child, and she was alienated from her extended family and had no help or support from any type of family whatsoever. Okay? And basically, they took her kids. The social worker diagnosed her with postpartum disorder, which we all know some women have postpartum disorder when they first have a child, or during their second pregnancy, third pregnancy, what have you. After giving birth, they have what you call this postpartum disorder, where the mother, I guess, falls into a deep depression. I'm not too familiar with that. Maybe she can explain it if we're able to connect her tonight. I hope we can. And then she goes on giving me her bio. I know she put it together rather quickly. I wish, it was emailed to me, but it was done through a social network. And, the social worker claimed in her affidavit that she had suicidal tendencies. And because she had a bottle of NyQuil in her medicine cabinet, that justifies their claim. NyQuil is very dangerous. So shows we've dealt with this problem, this medical kidnapping thing. We had a very special guest on, I believe it was the last show we did, the show before that on Sunday evening, where we had a Terry on, who is an investigator who investigates and tries to help many people out with these types of issues. And it was a very interesting show. And then on Tuesday night, we also did a show where we called the White House, and it's kind of weird now. I'm having technical difficulties at my next show after harassing the White House on Tuesday evening. So it's a little bit strange. But hopefully we can connect this guest tonight. I really hope so. I'm trying to connect to the Blog Talk station. I can't even do that. Why? I do not know. I'm going to try signing into my account at Blog Talk right now again, and hopefully I can do this. I got the page up right now. We'll give it another shot for a few more minutes so I can see the callers on the line. I don't anticipate any type of chat room tonight, but okay, I'm in my studio now. They've connected me. Hopefully okay, here we go. Hopefully this is it where I can call my guest. I sure hope so. Okay, here we go. I got my studio up and running. You see about 30 callers on the line. Very good. And, I'm going to complain about this. I pay for this nonsense every month. It's not my computer. It's Blog Talk Radio with their constant advertisements and nonsense that they pound on you. I've had several listeners already complain about this. They click on the site to listen to my show, and they're pounded with advertisements, pop-ups, and spam. And they get spam email because of this. And it's just, it's terrible, terrible. We talk about gridlock and nonsense. Well, here it is. You're hearing it right now on alternative media. And we talked about this on the Cap Show, where I was talking about my life and the story of my life. We talked about the justice system, how corrupt it is. We've talked about here about the corporations. We talk about the government, how corrupt they are. It's just crazy. Like he said, he's going to snap one day, and he's just going to go off on all these people. And you know what? I'd be standing right by him because it's nonsense. I don't want to be bothered by telemarketers. Right before this show, I got a call from Jessica in Indiana. Hi, how you doing tonight? And it's not even her. It's robotic. It's a robotic transmission. And she's asking me about a home security system. And it's free. It's free, folks. But and I didn't go through the spiel with her on about this because I was getting ready to do a radio show because it's computer automated. Okay, and she's saying, great. Okay, we'll connect you to one of our representatives. Free. They connect you to one of their representatives. They get all your personal information, and at the end, they say there's a $129 processing fee. I thought it was free. Okay. No, well, there's a processing fee, and then, of course, there's an installation fee, but then you get the system for free. Yeah, you get the system for free, but it doesn't monitor anything because you have to pay for the monthly monitoring. Okay, but you get the system for free. Well, I can go to Home Depot, and I could buy a couple little gadgets, the window sensors and all that for the same price, and stick them up in my window and buy a AAA battery, and it would do the same thing of what you're giving me. But anyway, we're going to attempt to call my guest right now because she's probably been waiting. I've got the studio up. I've got 3 laptop computers in front of me right now. 2 of them are down. 1 is working. So hopefully I don't lose any other callers tonight. I'm losing my chat room. I'll try to work on it while the caller is talking because I know she has a very, very important story to share. She asked if I called her. And I always give everyone that option. You can call me or I'll call you. So I'm going to go ahead and call her right now. Thank the good Lord. I'm doing it at the time I said I would. I'm sorry for the inconvenience for everyone else. And, okay, here we go. We're dialing her number right now. This is in Kentucky. She's in Kentucky. So I'm dialing her number right now. Hopefully there's not any other problems here technically.
Hello.
Hey, how you doing? My name is Joseph Gibson, and promised I'd call you a little after 6. So we are live right now on the air, and I have many people on the phone, on the line. I had some technical difficulties in the beginning. I got a little scared. I've got 3 laptops in front of me. 2 of them are down. The sites are down. But I was able to salvage the show and get the show up on the studio up on my screen and was able to call you. And now I can see all the other callers that are on the line tonight, which is great. So God may have helped us here tonight. But can you, well, basically I already told the audience your story pretty much. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you the floor, and I'm going to allow you to introduce yourself to my audience and basically tell your story the best way you can. Okay?
Okay, I've never done it this way before, but okay.
You see, I like to give everyone, and whoever's texting me and calling me on Facebook, please stop. Those are my supporters because it interferes with the callers. I have too many people on the line to check phone numbers right now, okay? Right now I have a guest from Kentucky, and what I want you to do is I want you to introduce yourself to my audience and basically tell a little bit about yourself and a little more background because what you sent me through social media, I was able to, read to my audience tonight, but I want you to go more in depth. I want you to tell a little bit more about yourself and where you stand today and how and what's going on with your case and what maybe people out there listening. I have several attorneys on the line too. What people out there may be able to do to try to assist you or help you.
Okay, I'll do the best I can. Like I said, I've never done this before, so I will do as good as possible.
Listen, it's okay. Don't be nervous. And if you get stuck, I will help you. Trust me, I've done this 1,000 times. I'll guide you along. But so far, you're doing pretty good. Just go ahead and start any way which you feel comfortable in telling your story. Basically, pretend you're telling a lawyer or a group of people who want to help you your story. Okay?
Oh, okay. Well, my name is Brenda Maney. I am from Richmond, Kentucky, and I had my children removed from me in November of 2012. I was a single mom. I'm disabled. I'm also a former foster child. My mom passed away about a year before my kids was removed. Other than her, I had no family, no support, very few friends, and I had come across some, situations in my life that made things hard after the birth of my daughter. My second child, I had a special needs child that was 11 and a half as well, and after my second baby was born, she had some medical conditions that was undiagnosed that caused her to almost die 3 days born, and ended up having to go to UK Children's Hospital, where we spent the first 2 weeks of her life, her fighting to stay alive. She had to be medically induced into a coma. The hospital where I birthed her did not catch this, and due to that, she nearly died at home. We were rushed to the hospital. She was admitted to the UK Children's Hospital. They diagnosed her with infant sleep apnea combined with severe acid reflux. What was happening is it was a silent form of reflux, which was backing up into her lungs, and it was causing her lungs to fill up with fluid, which was causing her to go into cardiac arrest.
Wow.
So we spent 8 days. Yeah, it was really bad. She nearly died in my arms at my home 3 days after being released from the hospital. The very day we was released from the hospital, that happened. I got home. I was maybe home with her 40 minutes, and that happened after I begged the first hospital where I birthed her to keep her longer, and they refused to. So anyway, I finally was released from the hospital at UK to go back home with her after, she came out of the coma and she was able to sustain her own breathing and eat on her own and all that. When I got home, I was met with Nurses Registry, which put her on a heart and lung monitor. Well, I had no time to heal from birthing her. I went straight from a C-section surgery, to back in the hospital for 2 weeks. And I slept sitting straight up in the chair for those 2 weeks with staples in my belly. So, of course, I got an infection in my incision, which got into my blood, which caused me to stay sick a lot, and it caused me to lose a lot of weight. My blood was septic. And, of course, I wasn't put on anything for that. I don't know why, but I wasn't. And it made me stay sick a lot, and I was trying to take care of her. Of course, she was sick. Apnea monitor going off all hours of the night. I didn't get any rest. Then I had to be up to get my special needs son, which was 11 and a half at the time. He has a spectrum disorder, and he has ADHD and developmental delay. And I would have to get him up for school, no sleep. I just never got any rest whatsoever. And I was basically just completely overwhelmed. On top of all of that, and not, having any way to have a break or anything, I got evicted from my apartment. It wasn't due to anything I'd done. It's just the person that had originally owned the apartments decided to sell, and, so the apartments were changing hands, and the person that was originally over the apartments, no longer wanted low-income people to live there, so everybody got evicted. So it was facing eviction right here at wintertime, because my daughter was born October 5th, and this happened in November. So winter was right around the corner. And then facing moving and all that with staples in my stomach, I'm like, I don't know how I'm supposed to do this. How I'm going to move all this stuff and, and everything. I didn't have any extra money at the time saved up because it was unexpected to hire movers or anything like that. So I was like, God, I don't know what I'm going to do.
So listen, not to interrupt you, but so you're a single mother and you have no resources and basically you're caught out and you don't know where to turn. You have no family or friends. You're alone and you're trying to take care of your children. And, hey, listen, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, well, there is because you're suffering. But what I'm saying is morally, there's nothing wrong with that. You're trying to do the best you can. However, what I'm getting at is, what about the father? Where's the father of this child or these children? How do you play in the picture?
My son's father and I split up back before my son was born, my oldest son, because of domestic violence. I left him because he was abusive. And that was before my son was born. Then, now my children don't have the same dad, okay? My daughter's father, once this CPS stuff happened, he basically jumped ship. He was trying to help me.
Yeah. Well, he was afraid, and he decided, hey, I don't want no part of this no more. Goodbye. Right?
Right. He just left. Yeah, he completely just left, and he even signed his rights over to my daughter because he'd been through that.
What you as the mother said, hey, this is my child. Okay, sign your rights over. I'll take care of my child, which I respect.
Right, that's what I was doing. Well, on top of getting evicted from the apartment, I'd loaded the kids up in the car to take them to their doctor's appointment that day, and my daughter had a well baby check. After you have the baby, you have to take them in to get checked, to see if they've gained weight and things like that. Well, on the way to the doctor's office, my transmission went out of my car. So I'm just sitting here like, are you freaking kidding me? That was the straw that broke the camel's back for me that day. I just sat in the car and completely broke down. I just was like, oh, my God,
And people, and listen, I've seen people who hit rock bottom, and you know what? For you to be a single mother, you got nowhere to turn, nobody helping you. You're on the way to your doctors, and now, look, the transmission goes in your car. What do you do? Who do you call? Where do you go? So,
I did
what you're saying.
Right. I did try to rectify the situations. I knew that with my kids, having medical cards, that I could get medical transportation just to get them to their appointments until I could get my car fixed. So I had my car put in the shop and was paying to have it fixed. They were letting me make payments on it. I was able to find a shop that actually let me make payments on it, thank God. And while I was doing that, I had applied to get medical transportation for my kids, but before I could do that, social services was at my door because the friend that I called, I was crying, I was upset, I was overwhelmed. I told her I need to get help. Can we find somebody to help me move? I need to find an apartment. I've got a baby and a child that I have to think about here, and I can't be on the streets with my kids. I was just hysterical because I was just so overwhelmed with everything. And she was like, well, we'll get you help. We'll get you help. Well, she didn't understand that CPS don't help families anymore. They're more about removing children and selling them than they are helping.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct.
So she called CPS thinking that they would come and offer me services and help me get out of the situation that I was in and get into a better place. And they came that day, and she was with them, my friend was, and because she was with them, I didn't feel threatened by them, so I let them in. Well, after I let them in, things turned bad quickly, and they decided that they were going to remove my kids that day, which they did.
Oh, my Lord.
Now, mind you, I had a nice apartment, even though I was getting evicted from it. I had plenty of food in my house. I just went to the grocery, bought food. My daughter had boxes of diapers and wipes, and both my kids had brand new clothes hanging in their closets with the tags still on them. So it's not like they were deprived of anything. My daughter was laying asleep in her bassinet. She had a clean diaper on, clean clothes, hooked up to her monitor. She was asleep the whole time they were there, except for when I woke her up to feed her and change her. My son was in his room. The only bad thing about that day was where my daughter had been in the hospital and my son hadn't got to spend a whole lot of time with her. He missed the bus on purpose that day because he wanted to stay home with her. And, of course, I got on to him for that, sent him to his room, told he was grounded for it, and he was mad at me. He was mad. But I told him, I said, you can't just simply skip.
But let me just like intervene one more time. Look, it's not about the material things you have. It's about you being a mother and loving your children and not hurting them purposely. It's not about whether or not you had a nice apartment or if you had a car. It's about, only thing children care about is being loved. They don't care about anything else. As long as you're there protecting them and taking care of them, that's all a child cares about. So I know social services don't see it that way. So I just wanted to point that out real quick. So go ahead.
Well, while she was there, while the social worker was in my house, the only thing that looked really bad that day is my son wasn't at school, which I explained that to her. I said he missed the bus on purpose, and I said it was because he said he wanted to stay home with his baby sister. And I said, although I didn't agree with what he did, I did send him to his room and told him it wasn't okay for him to do that. And, so she let that go. But then, she kept trying to bring up depression because I have a history of depression from when I was in foster care as a child. And she kept trying to bring up depression. You just had a new baby. We think you have postpartum. We think that you need to get treated for postpartum. And I looked at her and I said, look, lady, I'm not depressed. I said, I don't have postpartum. I said, I am overjoyed with my new baby, and I'm happy that I have my family here together. I said, why would I be depressed? I said, I'm overwhelmed and stressed out. There's a difference. And I said, plus I also have medical conditions that mimic the symptoms of depression, so how do you know which one it could be? And she was like, well, I've just trained in this. She says, I'm trained in this, and I can just tell when somebody has postpartum, and we think you need to go to the hospital and get treated for postpartum. And then she went outside, her and her friend did, and then they came back in and they said, do you have any family members that could temporarily take your kids? And I said, you all know I don't have family members. You all know my mom is deceased, and I don't know any of my family because I was alienated from my family. And they're like, well, then we're going to be taking your kids today.
What?
I said, I don't understand why. I said, huh?
How did you react to that? Let me tell you something.
I took him. I said,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
It's okay. We're both trying to talk at the same time. I apologize. But I said, well, I understand. Why are you taking my kids away? I said, my kids aren't being abused. I said, they're not neglected. You can look around and see that. I said, you can look at them. They're clean. They're healthy. I said, over my damn cold, dead body, will you take my kids away from me and put them in foster care? Because I've been in foster care, and I know what that's like. And that was like my worst fear for my children is for them to be in that same situation.
Exactly.
And so
you're absolutely You're absolutely correct. So about this makes it even worse because you grew up in foster care and you know the abuse and you've seen it firsthand and you know what it's like. And that, like you just said, people need to understand that was this woman's worst fear, and now look, it happened. And you know what? I've educated myself on this foster care and this criminal CPS organization out there. And people, listen, you need to understand, and those of you who are mothers out there, fathers, what have you, and even if you don't have children, I'm sure you have family members who have children. This can happen to you, okay? You don't have to be poor. You don't have to be rich. It could happen to you. Your next-door neighbor can call up and say, I believe he's abusing his children. Next thing you know, you've got a sheriff and a CPS worker knocking at your door. It can happen to you. So I just wanted to make that point real clear for anyone out there who has any type of judgmental or opinions about this guest or any other situations you may have heard on this show. It can happen to you. It don't matter your financial status. It does not matter your physical status. It only matters, like one caller said, and this is very important. I want to get this point across. In the New World Order, it doesn't matter what you say. It only matters what the next person says. And if you ever notice that in society, any conflict you become involved in, social, criminal, what have you, it never matters what you say. It only matters what the other person says. And that's wrong. But go ahead, continue on.
Okay, well, they removed my kids that day, and I ended up going and checking myself into Eastern State Hospital because I wanted to prove to them that I wasn't mentally unstable, and she told me that unless I did that, I would not be able to get my kids back. So I went and I checked myself into the mental hospital. I stayed in there for 8 days and basically was told that I didn't need to be there. They said, we have not seen any indications out of you that you're suicidal or that you don't even show symptoms of depression. We don't see a need for you to be here. We don't see a need for you to, have any kind of therapy or anything like that. So we're going to release you on your own signature. So they went ahead and released me on my signature, and they wrote me on an aftercare plan that says just follow up with like a comp care or somewhere because, the social worker wanted me to be in therapy. She wanted it. So I ended up going and putting myself in therapy, and the therapist eventually talked me into taking medication because that's what the social worker wanted me to do in order to get my kids back. So I ended up having to put myself on medication. So I put myself on medication. I went through therapy, did therapy. They wanted me to talk about my past childhood as a foster care child and my past abuse from my mother and the abuse that I sustained while I was in foster care. And I did all that. I completed my therapy with full success, got a letter of completion. My therapist and psychiatrist wrote letters to them stating that I was fully functional, stable, and that I had completed their therapy sessions successfully. And at each court date, CPS would still say, oh, well, we have concerns about her mental stability, but yet I had psychiatrists and therapists, more than one. I have several that were writing to them stating that I was stable and that they didn't have any concerns of my mental stability. But yet every court date that I would go to, it would be mental instability. Even though I was medicating myself for it, even though I didn't want to, I did it anyway for my children, and seeing a psychiatrist and a therapist. And I even went to parenting classes. I went to anger management classes. I went to domestic violence classes. I completed all that, presented certificates for all that. None of that made any difference. They stretched my case out for 3 years. They only gave me 1 hour a week with my newborn baby. 1 hour a week. After the first 2 visits with my son, they stopped my visits with my son for 8 months because they told me my son said he did not want to see me and that he no longer wanted to be my child. And so they stopped my visits with him. Now, my son says that he never said that. He said they said that, and they told him that I didn't want to see him. So we didn't see each other for 8 months through my whole case. And then when my son finally got away from the social worker and away from the first foster parents he was with, and they put him in an institution where he was with a new psychologist and a new therapist, he started asking them, why won't they let me see my mom? Why can't I see my mom? So that basically proved that they'd been lying the whole time.
Wow.
So they overrode what CPS wanted and started allowing me to have contact with my child. And as soon as they done that, me and my son instantly, the bond was there. It never left. We bonded great. We did fine. But over the course of time, only getting an hour a week with my newborn baby, they were successfully able to break our bond. My daughter grew up thinking that the foster mom was her mother. The foster mom lied out her teeth at every chance she got to alienate me and to steal my child from me. The foster father
Just real quick, tell me, how widespread is this? I know you don't know what's going on around the rest of the country, but you've educated yourself, obviously, because you're fighting for your children. How widespread is this, you believe? At least
this is going on nationwide. Just in Kentucky alone, it's an epidemic. Just in Kentucky. I mean, you look, Google Kentucky BCBS or Kentucky CPS, and you will get an eye and an earful of all the stuff that goes on here with CPS, Child Protective Services. They have had so many investigations opened up on them for fast-track adoption, falsifying records, social workers, perjuring themselves on the stand. They just had a Kentucky social worker that was sentenced to prison for calling in false child abuse complaints on families.
Okay. What you just said there, okay. They just caught somebody. Great. Well, what happens now to all the cases she falsely reported? Are those being
that's the thing. That's the thing. Yeah, they're never opened back up. That's the problem. Everything that was done because of her negligence and her fraudulent behavior remains. That's what's wrong. They should open those cases back up and review them and see, if she made errors in those cases, which odds are she did.
You're absolutely correct. That's why I asked that question. And that's something like people like me and anyone out there who's listening who's an attorney or an investigator, those are things that should be brought forward and should be investigated because it's something that shouldn't be swept under the rug. Okay, we got the CPS worker, we got her in prison, but what about all the case? What was her caseload? We want to know every name on her caseload, and we want to know what happened individually to each individual person that she handled, because obviously she's a criminal, and that's why she sits in prison. But anyway, get back to your story where you left off.
The foster dad and the foster mom that had my kids, they had family members that worked inside of the Department for Child Protective Services. The foster mom was friends with the foster care agency that was over top of my children, and the worker that supervised my visits with my daughter that never had anything good to say about the bonding between me and my baby or my son, basically, was friends with the foster mom outside of the job. They were friends on Facebook. My daughter was around the foster care agency worker so much that my daughter was attached to her and knew her by her first name.
Wow.
When the foster mom came into our visit and said that her mom's house had burnt down, the foster care worker that was supervising my visits broke down and started crying. I'm like, wow, okay, so somebody that just has a working relationship with somebody is going to break down in absolute tears because they said their mother's house burnt down? Yeah, okay. I knew something was going on behind the scenes with that. I knew something was not right with that because my daughter was really attached to the caseworker that supervised my visits, and a child don't get that attached to somebody that's just around them for a few hours during a visit each week.
Well, you're absolutely correct. The bond, a mother and daughter's bond or a mother and son's bond. I mean, I just had a son born in October, and he's attached to his mother and me. And, it's just absolutely, I just cannot believe what I'm hearing. And how, I mean, if you have to tell more about the story, what's leading up today, that's fine. But what I'm trying to ask is, where are you now today, and how are things working, and what's your battle? How is your battle going?
Well, there's so much more to the story than what I've actually got to tell on here. But now,
listen, go ahead. Listen, excuse me. Go ahead. Finish your story. We have plenty of time. Go ahead and carry on.
Okay. What I was leading up to is that there was a lot of conflict of interest in my case. The guardian ad litem on my children's case never even seen my children during the course of my case, which was 3 years. But yet she had all kinds of recommendations to the judge on why I shouldn't get my daughter back. but yet she'd never talked to my kids, never even seen them. My son looked over at me in a visit when she finally did come to one of the visits and said, "Mom, who's that?" I said, "Well, that's your attorney, Erin. Don't you know her?" "No, I've never seen her before." I'm like, "Oh, well, that's good to know." They never let me go to any of my child's medical appointments, school appointments, nothing. They did surgery on my baby and didn't even tell me about it. I found out about it 8 months later. That's
Lord.
just a few of the things that they did that was violations of my rights, and of my child's rights, actually. But let's see. I mean, basically they were all in with each other. The social workers, the foster parent, the GAL, they were all buddies. The judge that was on my case, which I asked to recuse himself, but he refused, was the judge that removed me from my mom as a child.
Wow.
So that weighed against me because he automatically had a bias against me due to that reason. Because when he removed me from my mom, he was going to place me back with my mother, and I didn't want to go back home to my mom because my home life was abusive. And I begged him not to send me back, but he was going to anyway. So I knew in court if I pissed the judge off, then he would send me to juvenile detention. So I cussed him out to keep from going back home. So he did. He sent me to juvenile detention for 90 days for cursing him out.
Lord.
And so that very same judge was the judge that was on my case with my children, and I believe that he held it all against me. On top of that, my TPR, my termination of parental rights, which is what they went for, even though the Foster Care Review Board sided with me and stated that they couldn't understand why they were trying to terminate my rights to my children, and I have those letters as proof, by the way, but they still continued to terminate my rights. The day of my termination hearing, my judge and the social workers, they all called a hearing in the chambers and sent me out of the courtroom, and we're in there for about 40 minutes. Then my attorney comes out of the courthouse and said that, well, here's the thing. He says, I think we can get you back your son. He says, but they're not going to give you back your daughter. A foster mom wants to adopt your daughter. They're going to use the fact that your daughter's bonded with the family and that the family's bonded to her, and they're not going to give her back. But your son has been in foster care. He's not been thriving. You know, he's been sick since he's been in foster care. He's not done well in school. Every placement they've tried to put him in, he has disrupted. He's not done well, you know, and so, therefore, they're willing to place him in your home on a 90-day trial. But, you know, in order to do that, you'll need to relinquish your daughter. He says, or if you don't want to do that, we can go through with the TPR trial, and there's a 60-40% chance you won't get your children back, period. So my son suffered really bad in foster care. He lost like 30-something pounds in foster care. He was drugged up. He was on 7 psychotropic drugs. He was on the verge of being put in juvenile detention center. He disrupted in all the placements he was in. He was angry. He was just fed up with being in the system. He was tired of being bounced around. And I thought, well, you know, if I can save my son from this, because my son's disabled. He has, you know, developmental delays and amongst other things. And I knew that he wouldn't fare well in the system for 5 more years because it was all I could do. Being a normally developed child at that age to survive it, I knew he probably would not. So I went ahead and signed over my rights to my daughter because I felt like that was what I had to do to get my son back. So I got my son back, and I thought, well, I can get him back, and I could fight this and try to get my daughter home. But, of course, when you relinquish your rights, it's harder to do anything with. You can't appeal. You can't do anything like that. But it wasn't something I wanted to do. I felt like I had to because if I didn't, I would not have gotten my son back. They would have kept him. I would have lost my daughter anyway because they was not going to give me my daughter back. And if they TPR on one child, they're going to TPR on both. So it was a thing where I basically had to choose.
So as we stand right now, what's your situation? I mean, what's the situation?
Well, I have my son home. Yeah, I have my son home. He's been home for 8 months. He's doing great. He's not on any drugs. He's gained all the weight he lost in foster care back. He's happy. He's healthy. He's doing great in school. Teachers don't have no issues with him. He's been released from therapy. He graduated from it. And now I'm just trying to find somebody to help me to get my daughter back.
Where is your daughter right now?
She's with the foster mom. The foster mom is in the process of adopting her.
So, well, that's what I'm trying to get at. Do you know where she is exactly right now? Or
I know where she is. Yeah, I know where she is. I know the people that have her, but I don't get any contact with her, and neither does my son.
And the people that have her, they agree with, they're down with this? I mean, they think that this is the right thing to do?
Yeah, she didn't want us to have any contact with her whatsoever. Even though, when she thought I was going to get my daughter back, she asked me, well, if you get your daughter back, you know, I've just gotten really attached to her and everything, and so is my kids, and if you get her back, I would hope that you would still let us come and pick her up and take her out to eat and let her stay nights with us and blah, blah, blah. But yet she won't afford us that right.
Oh, my Lord.
She wants us completely out of the picture.
I have someone on the phone line right now who's been waiting a long time, so I want to patch them through. Maybe they have a question for you. They want to make a comment. But,
turn that down.
I mean, by all means, we'll. I mean, you don't mind, do you, if I take a couple calls to ask you questions?
No.
Okay.
All right. I don't mind at all.
All right. Okay. Thank you very much. All right, this is Joe from Meriden, Connecticut. Hopefully you're patching through. Like I said, there's been a lot of studio problems. Do I have you?
I'm here.
Okay, Joe, I got you. Thank you very much. I hear your dog barking in the background. Joe's a supporter of the show. And go ahead, Joe. You got something you want to say?
Yeah, just some comments, food for thought. I'm not an expert on anything like this. It's a terrible situation. And like she says, it's probably running rampant. You know, money is the root of all evil, and that's what it's all about. Hindsight is always 20/20. And when you're young, you're generally stupid and unaware of things that you're doing. In my opinion, you know, you signed your daughter away. I would have never signed anything. That's for sure.
She didn't have a choice, though.
Well, I would have went back to step one. First of all, you got these CPS workers coming to your door. You know what? I probably have shoes older than these girls that came. Now, are they medical doctors? So what gives them the right to offer a medical diagnosis about you? They're practicing medicine without a license. That would have been my first step right there, because and that's what I'll go after them. I'd start going after them with. Were you represented by an attorney that you actually had conversations with during this mess?
I was. I had a paid attorney. I fired my first court-appointed attorney because she stipulated me to neglect without my knowledge. Because I was late for court because I had to go in a taxi cab, and the cab got in an accident on the way to court, a fender bender, and I had to wait for them to transfer me to another ride to get to court, and it made me 20 minutes late. Well, I was the first one on the docket. They called my case first one, and she went in there because I wasn't there and stipulated to neglect on my behalf.
Yeah, well, they always call your case first when you're not there.
Wait, hang on, Joe. Joe, hang on. This was an attorney you were paying out of your own pocket?
No, this was the court-appointed attorney. After she did that, I fired her. I fired her and told her she was no longer needed and hired a private attorney, which I paid a $1,500 retainer for. And, you know, he did put up, you know, really good fights for my family, and he filed motions and he did the things that he was supposed to do, but I think, honestly, in the end, they threatened my attorney because they're known for that here in Kentucky, for threatening attorneys to get them to back off or to just give in to what they want. And I think that might have been the situation with my attorney because, you know, he was limited really to what he could do. I mean, people don't understand about Kentucky, and I'm not going to say it's any worse than other states because I'm sure there's some that are just as bad, but Kentucky has a history of attacking the attorneys when they try to zealously fight for their clients. Well, and I really think that that's what happened with him.
Attorneys work for the law, and so do the judges. They're both on the same side. they're really not
Right.
working for you. They're really not working for you. But it's a good show. There was probably collusion involved in this entire mess, as it is with just about every case of this matter, and they're picking
Right.
on the low-hanging fruit. You were a foster child. They know your records. They know how to play your game, and they know how to get what they want.
Right. Right, but I know that people look down on me because I relinquished my daughter. But here's the thing: if I had went through with my TPR, the judge had then made it clear to me he was going to TPR me. I would have lost them both. My son would not have survived 4 to 5 more years in foster care.
That's
he just
right.
would not have.
Hang on. No. I want to say something right now so I can explain it a little bit better so you don't have to defend yourself. Let me explain something, people that are listening. Okay, when you're in that courtroom and you have no money and you're broke and you have 2 children in jeopardy and all these maggots in their suit and ties and their black robes with the sheriff standing there with a gun on their side ready to take your children away for life or lock you up, and they push a pen and a paper in front of you, that you're scared. You don't know what to do, and you think
Of course.
that you need to make an instant decision that you feel is right. At least let me get my son back or one of my children back, and then fight for the other later. So before anyone casts any judgment, think about that.
Of course, but what they did to her is they wouldn't give her the child back until she relinquished the other one first.
That's right.
Right, that's what they said. Yep.
Right. So therefore, there was a threat involved.
Well, yeah.
Well, they made me say, this is what happened. In the TPR proceeding, they made me say that I was not being threatened, coerced, or forced to do anything. They made me raise my hand and say that.
Well, of course they do that. Yeah,
that's because they know they're threatening you. They know they're intimidating you.
Yeah.
They know they're breaking the law. They know they can be thrown in jail, and they're having you agree to everything they're doing. But you know what? You're only doing it because you don't know what you're doing, and you're being forced into it.
Oh, my gosh.
Right.
That's true.
I fought hard. I fought so hard for 3 years. I did everything I knew to do, and I could not win that battle. I researched. I tried. I did. I gave it everything I had. I bankrupted myself and everything trying to get my kids back.
Pen and paper, and a stamp to everyone you know, a photocopier, and just keep sending out those letters. That's what you do.
Well, she's doing the right thing. Well, she's doing the right thing right now. She's telling her story on this show, and this show needs to be archived.
But you've got to get those maggots, those monkeys. You got to get those maggots and those monkeys that are working on their side to realize that she means business, because she's just low hanging fruit here. They don't care about her.
Well,
right. I know.
Like she said, but you have to understand, Joe and Meriden. I know who you are, and I know you're older and wiser, and I don't know who's got the background noise in the background, but we have to be careful of background noise because it disrupts the entire call. But and I know sometimes you can't help it, but Joe, she's a younger individual with limited resources. The state has her, and what could she do? What could she do? You're right. Mail letters, send out those letters and complaints. But at the same time, remember, she's a mother. She has to take care of a child. She's probably working or trying to find work. She's one person. How much can she do?
I understand all of that. I understand, and I know it's tough, and that's why we're here talking. You've got to keep.
I understand too where you're coming from, Joe, but it's just I knew that he was going to TPR me, and when he TPR'd, I was going to lose them both, and I couldn't leave my son to that fate because I knew where he was going to end up. He was going to end up in juvenile detention, and I don't know if you know what they do to kids in juvenile detention center that have the issues my son has, or if they can't keep them and adopt them out, then they end up in group homes. And in group homes, kids like my son that have the issues he has usually are the ones that end up beat up and raped.
Yeah, no, I understand why you. I understand why you did what you did. I know. I fully understand.
Yeah, I couldn't. I figured, my son, he's going to languish in foster care. He's going to be to group home, to juvenile detention center. You know, my daughter, at least she's going to be in a family. She's not going to have that same treatment, you know, as he would. And I said, if I can get him out, that's what I'm going to do.
And from my point of thinking, the reason why they made that offer to you is the fact is that they would have kept both of them if you didn't show up in court.
You mean, what do you mean, it kept both if I didn't show up in court?
In other words, they have two, so we're going to give one back, and this way she'll be happy. That's what I'm saying is it's a game for them. That's what they're doing. You know, you were easy to get. You know, they got both children, and they had two. So we gave one back, and now you're happy. And I understand why you did it with one. I understand, but you got to understand. You got to look at from their point of view as well. You know, there are many corrupt judges out there who get kickbacks for all of this. There are many politicians who get kickbacks for all of this. The world is a terrible place.
Yeah, well, we all know that. But the point of what I'm trying to do is she needs to understand the real law, and you understand the real law, and you're explaining it to her, but in a different type of way. And I'll stay in contact because she's my friend on social media now, and of course I'll support her in her case. And I'll try to educate her a little bit more on the law because I know she only knows the basics. Okay, she doesn't understand that when you hire an attorney, you become an award of the court. She doesn't understand.
Yes, you do. Yes, I know that now. I've learned that from researching since my case is closed. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yes.
All right. I'm just saying, you know, maybe because we haven't gone into discussion about this, but most people don't. They don't understand when your child's born and you register them at the hospital, then you register them with the Secretary of Treasury of the United States, and you're given a birth certificate that's actually a bond that goes to the state and is actually worth money on Wall Street. It may sound crazy, but it's true. If you ever look at a birth certificate in the right-hand corner, there are a sequence of numbers. If you went to any stockbroker, you used to be able to go to fidelity.com, type those numbers in, and see who's trading with your life on Wall Street. Because what do you say? What do you mean? You say, well, they're assuming how much money you may make throughout your lifetime through income tax and taxes and through the Federal Reserve System and whatnot. I mean, I don't want to get off topic because that's hours of educational, you have to research. It took me 5 years to find out exactly what I'm trying to tell you right now, so I can't do it in 20 minutes. But
right, I'm familiar with it. I don't know all about it, but I am familiar with what you're talking about. Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, so you understand. So you know I'm not crazy.
I'm gonna get off the line here and listen, and I'll let you continue. Okay. But I wish you the best of luck, and it's nice talking to you.
Well, it's nice talking to you, and thank you.
Thank you. And if there's anyone else who wants to call in, because she said she's willing to take any questions or comments, or even offer some sort of support, you're more than welcome. I know Bridget in the chat room, is talking about CPS right now because the chat room is finally up and running, and I've got a few people. I've got a dozen people in the chat room. I've got a lot of people on the line tonight who want to listen, who are listening. Many, and I'm scrolling down the numbers now, and I actually have another person who wants to ask you a question or contribute. I don't know where the background noise is coming from. Hopefully. Okay, it's okay. Maybe it's my guest. But anyway, here I got a guest right now. Another guest. I'm gonna connect right now.
Hold on just a minute.
Area code 203. The last four numbers of your phone number is 6764. You're live on the air on Blog Talk Radio. Go ahead.
Hey, Joe. It's Kurt.
Hey, how you doing, Kurt from Marion, Connecticut? How are you?
Joe, what's going on, Joe? Listen, I just came in and turned on because I just got home from work. I noticed you were talking about the Federal Reserve. What's that website? I got my pen.
Website for what? What do you mean? I don't understand.
To research the federal, like how to find out how much money you're worth.
Okay. Well, you can go to fidelity.com, or you could type in straw man, or you could type in HR 192, and that will. And if you type that in the internet or any app you have, you'll get.
Right?
Yeah, you'll get tons of information. But Kurt, Do you have? I mean, you can email me later on. I've got a guest on the line right now, and I know you had experience with CPS.
All right, I'll talk to you later, Joe.
All right. Thank you very much, Kurt. Thanks for checking in. Anyone else who wants to check in tonight, I'll go ahead and mute his number real quick so I don't get any background noise. That's Kurt. He's muted right now. Anyone else? I got so many callers on the line. I've got about 45 callers on the line. My line can handle 50. I can handle 50. I'm not CNN or Fox News. I can't handle 1,000.
Yeah, that would be difficult.
Well, I don't have 20 producers either on the show. I'm a single guy here with 3 laptops in front of me and a little tiny studio. But I know we have quite a few people in the chat room or commenting and talking. But please continue on. We got about 25 minutes left, 20 minutes left. Please say what you want to say to people out there listening. And I don't want to get off topic, everyone. I want to stick to the CPS topic. And I want to talk about this victim's story. If you have a story similar, by all means. All right, I have another person that just checked in from North Carolina. So I'm going to go ahead and connect this one right now.
Okay.
Bridget from Reedsville, North Carolina. Go ahead.
Hello. I don't know how long I can stay on, but I just wanted to tell this lady that my heart goes out to her. I know CPS is corrupt because I've read stories about them, and she did everything she could because as soon as they stepped in her house and saw that baby, they had every intention of taking the baby and keeping the baby. So
right.
I know that she did everything she could. People don't understand. You have to stay far, far away from them, as far as you can. They don't want to help you. They're looking for babies to take out of good homes, and they want to leave the kids in the abused homes so they can end up getting killed. Because I've watched and read about all sorts of stories about kids that are truly abused, that they leave in the homes until they end up dead.
There's a reason for that. There's a reason for that, and
what's the reason? Tell us.
There's a reason for that. Me being out of the foster child system myself.
Yeah.
One of the reasons that they take children from homes where they've not faced abuse or severe neglect is because those children generally don't have the emotional or behavioral issues that a lot of children that are being severely abused or neglected would have. And when it comes to people that are looking to adopt, they don't want to adopt someone else's problems. Yeah. So, therefore, those children get left behind to suffer the fate that they suffer due to the fact that CPS wants adoptable children that are easy to place instead of children that have emotional and behavioral problems that are harder to place.
Yeah,
Bridget,
that's the intention.
Bridget, through your studies and your experience on CPS, because you said you watched a lot on CPS, what advice do you have to give? What advice do you have to give to this guest tonight? Because I know you haven't called in a long time, and I appreciate you calling in tonight because I know this is an important subject to you, and you're a mother, so I know. What advice do you have to give to this guest tonight as far as her fight? Because she's continuing to get back her other child. I mean, she's battling right now. So what advice do you have, if you have any, or could give any?
My advice, the first thing is pray. Pray hard, because God can move in situations that you don't think he can move in, and he can make things happen that you don't think he can make happen, because I've had stuff in my life happen that I know was a result of him. So pray, keep fighting, and try to find any loophole that you can slip in that maybe you can get her back, because I know that was not an easy decision for you to make, because I loved her more than one child, and I could, having to choose between them, that would be something I don't know if I could do. So
it was hard, and it ripped my chest out, but I knew that my oldest was the more vulnerable child, and I knew that, where she was at, I knew she wasn't, the people that have her don't abuse her. They I can't say that they're good people because the foster mother lied to get her, you know, and keep her and everything, but they're good to her.
They're not good people.
Okay.
If they were, they would say, we want you to have your daughter back. They're not good people.
Right. But what the point I'm trying to make is they're good to her, you know, and I knew that she wasn't going to suffer, you know, and I knew that my son would have if I hadn't made that choice. Yeah. And like I said in my story, Medical Kidnap did my story, and I told them, I said, the hardest thing I've ever had to do in my life, and the thing that has hurt me the most, was to sign my name on that damn dotted line.
Yeah. Well, I know, because I'm looking at, well, I just had a baby 5 months ago, and I'm looking at my little baby right now. He's looking up at me. I couldn't do it. So, I mean, I don't know how you did it, but I understand why you did it, and I know I couldn't do it. I mean, I would...
Well, I mean, this is the thing. I mean, I know a lot of people say they could never make that choice, but I couldn't have lived with the fact that I didn't make that choice, and then my son would have died in foster care, like many of my friends' children have.
That's right, because you know what? You grew up in foster care, and many, you know, so people may not understand what the horrors that your child, like you said, has.
Well, I'll tell you, John. I was treated horribly in foster care. I was tortured in foster care. I was starved. I was molested. I was raped. I was beaten. I was emotionally beat down. I mean, the types of discipline that some of the foster parents used were like what would be done to people to get information out of them.
Now, what about your youngest now? You said you know where she is. Is she experiencing any type of this abuse right now? Do you think?
I don't know. I don't get to see pictures. I don't get to talk to her. I have no idea. I just know who has her and where they're at.
Yeah, that's not fair.
Yeah.
That's not right. You're the mother. At least they should give you some sort of status report or something. Even if they don't want you making contact with the child, you should be able to know for peace of mind that your child is safe. And you know what? Not to get off subject or talk about anything, you know what? What would you do out there? I'm going to tell you something right now. If they took my child and I was in this woman's situation and I knew where my child was, there'd be an Amber Alert out because I'd go get my child. I'm going to tell you that right now. All right? And I don't care what anyone says. They could judge me. They could say whatever. If I knew my child, where he or she was, and my hands were tied, I'd go get him or her. I don't care because that's how I am as a father. And, you know? And
but I have to think about...
Yes, I'm not trying to advocate by all means. I'm saying me as a person. I'm not trying to tell you should do that, just for the record, okay? I'm just saying me as a father and how I feel. Maybe going through what you went through, my mindset would be different. I'm just lashing out because I'm angry about this story. That's all. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm pissed off.
Well, everybody that I've ever told it to are angry, so... Yeah. So you know where I'm coming from. And Bridget, if you're still on the line, do you have anything else you want to say before I mute? You have anything else you want to say before I mute you?
I just wanted to say, I mean, I don't like how they tricked her by letting the friend come along and making her feel comfortable opening the door. But it's not surprising because I've read about CPS. They're extremely corrupt. I know what they do. I know what their plans are. I know they don't help. And I'm pretty sure she's already spreading the word to anybody that she can talk to, letting them know that
she's
CPS
doing it now.
is corrupt.
She's doing it now, Bridget. She's doing it now. And
I'm
she's brave.
I meant she has before the show. I'm pretty sure she's already
did that.
I have. Yeah, I have 3 groups that I run in Kentucky where I advocate in those groups and I tell, you know, exactly how it is and how it's done and why they do it. Yes.
Just because a lot of people are unaware of this. You know, I'm aware I'm not opening the door for anybody that looks like they're from the government, or even if they don't look like they're from the government. I'm playing it safe. They could look like Joe from next door. I'm not opening the door. I don't trust anybody, and I'm not opening the door because, you know, you can't say it won't happen to you because it could happen to anybody.
But like you said, Bridget, she was tricked. You know, she trusted her friend.
Yeah.
You know, she was duped.
Well,
and it doesn't mean she's dumb. It doesn't mean she's gullible. What it means is that she's a trusting person. She's a trusting person. And right there is a good quality to raise children. You know, we don't have to be paranoid of everyone that knocks on our door. And she was a trusting person and trusted her friend, and her friend betrayed her. So,
her friend her friend probably wasn't aware. A lot of people.
Yeah, she didn't know. I mean, she stayed there with me through all of it. She said, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry." She said, "I didn't think that they would do this." She said, "I just wanted them to help you." You know, so I don't hate her. I don't have hard feelings toward her. I just really wish that she would have talked to me before sending them to my house. You know, she didn't know. She didn't know, just like I didn't know a lot of things before this happened, and now I do. I mean, a lot of people don't know that CPS is out to take children for money. They think they're there to help. And that is the actual ideology that society has about CPS. They think, oh, they wouldn't come take your kids away.
Yeah, people don't understand that. You see, people need to understand. Well, real quick, though, Bridget, you have anything else you want to say? Because I'm going to go ahead and mute you because we are getting close to the end here. You have anything else? Otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and mute your call.
No, the only thing is she doesn't need to feel bad or, you know, about the choice she made because she did what she thought she could and the only thing she knew to do at the time. And my heart goes out to her, and I hope I'll be praying for her to get her daughter back because I hate to think that, you know, she would never see her again because I know God can get her daughter back. So I'll be praying, and hopefully one day they'll be reunited.
Well,
thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, Bridget from Reedsville, North Carolina, thank you for your contribution tonight. I know there's so many callers on the line, and like I always tell everyone, my screen, like I said, I'm down 2 systems here, and the system's slow tonight, and usually, you know, my screen can only hold 50 callers, and, well, actually, excuse me, my screen can only hold 10 callers, but I can hold 50 on the phone line, so I'm going up and down the screen to see if anyone has a comment, and listen, when you press 1, don't keep pressing it, because when you press it twice, you hang up on yourself, and it screws me all up. But at least we got 2 good comments in there, and we got a bunch of people in the chat room now, and that's great. That's really great. And please, we only have like maybe 6-7 minutes left. I want you to say what you have to say again one more time that you feel what people from tonight who listened, and I'm going to tell you right now, a lot of people listened. What should they remember from your story, or what can they do to help you, or what can they do to spread the word about your situation, including myself? What should we do? And I'll go ahead and allow you to basically wrap it up for us, okay?
Okay. I mean, my advice to people is if social services shows up at your door, don't be naive or dumb like myself and trust whoever is with them, even if you know them, and don't let them in. If you allow them into your home, you waive your rights. And that's what I did when I allowed them into my house. And once you allow them into your house, 9 times out of 10, you're going to lose your children. Make them get a warrant. I didn't do that, and that was my mistake. Don't be stupid and don't make that mistake. And when they do come back with a warrant, make sure they show you that warrant. Make sure they show you that emergency custody order. Make sure you're recording them as they're doing it, because that is your proof. That is what safeguards you. and your rights, your children, and your family. I didn't do those things because I was ignorant to my rights, and I was ignorant to how the system works. And my only advice is to please know your rights, learn them. If you don't know them, learn them, and enact those rights. Do not let them in. Do not talk to them without a warrant. I don't care if they use the police as intimidation. Make them get a warrant. Shut the door. If they break through your door, they are breaking the law. Record it, because you can sue them for that.
Tell me, do you have, well, real quick, I forgot to ask you this. Do you have an upcoming case at all that we should know about?
I don't. My case is closed. It's been closed for 8 months.
Oh, my Lord. So right now, you have no way to try to get your daughter back legally through the system?
The only way that I can get her back is if I get an attorney, which we all know that generally they won't do anything unless you have thousands of dollars, and then there's no promise that you'll even get your child back.
There's no nonprofit organizations out there that are willing to take your case, because it sounds like you have a very solid case.
I've tried. I've been trying for 8 months to find help and have been unable to get any.
Well,
but I have all the proof. I have my whole case file. I have all the proof in the world of all the mistakes they made. My own attorney that I had even told me, he says, you get your son back, you sue the system. Sue them. Because he even said, out of the 30 years that he'd been practicing family law, he had never seen a case done as dirty as mine was done.
Listen, I'm going to tell you right now, as me being the host of the show, and this is my show. Nobody controls me, okay? I program this show. I produce this show. I decide who comes on this show. Yes, I'm going through a server, a network, but this network asked me to become a host because I was a part of another network, and the popularity of the show that I was on gained a lot of success, and they asked me to have my own show on this network. But I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to use that to try to reach out. And I told you, there's a couple of attorneys listening tonight. I have one of my best friends is an attorney. He has an international paralegal service that he can, and he absolutely can file paperwork, help you in the system. And I'm going to ask him to try to look into your case. And I, as a voice, will do the best I can to try to reach out to people to try to help you, because you know what I hate? And if you know anything about me, and I know people out there know a lot because we did a show about my life from another network, actually. And I was on another show the other night. It was on Monday night. I don't like being told no and case closed, okay? We're going to continue to fight for this woman, and we're going to try to get the word out about her case, because like she just said, you've got all kinds of money. Bullshit, excuse my language. That's a bunch of baloney, okay? Because it doesn't
I can barely hear you.
It doesn't matter how much money you have. I know the show's winding down. It doesn't matter how much money a person has to receive justice, okay? And we'll go ahead. We're going to stay in contact, okay? And I'm sorry about the audio because it's coming down to the end of the show. Please, in a few words, and within the next 2 minutes, if you have anything to say, please go ahead and say what you got to say. And before we do that, I just want to thank you very much for telling your story. And you're brave, and you're very well spoken, actually. And you
Thank you.
You actually sounded nervous, but I'm going to tell you right now, you told your story very professionally and very thoroughly. You were very clear. I didn't have to dig anything out of you like I have in other guests. So you know what you're talking about, and people need to understand that. She's been through the ringer here. So go ahead and give me.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Give me a couple more minutes. And listen, one more thing. I want to do an update maybe in a few months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, whenever you feel comfortable on your situation, because we're going to try to get you some help, okay?
Okay. And also, for the viewers that's listening, my children's and my story was featured in the medicalkidnap.com book. That'll be out for sale on Amazon.com and other retailers that sells books. We are the Maney family out of Richmond, Kentucky, if you would like to look up my story and read it.
Well, thank you very much. You heard her, folks, and like I said, thank you so much for coming on the show. I wish we could have got some more callers, but she had a lot to say tonight. Her story is, imagine, you're a mother out there, a single mother with no family, limited resources, and now the state is coming after you. What do? Now, well, she's got one child back. That's half the battle, but we're going to try to get the other child back. You know what? That child doesn't belong to that foster family. This mother loves her child, and she wants her back. So it's not like she didn't want her back and then all of a sudden wants her back. She's loved this child. The state made this decision on her, okay? She didn't make this decision. The state made it. Her rights are not granted by government, folks. Her rights are granted by our Creator. Our rights are unalienable, like the Constitution says, okay? It's not granted by government. So you need to remember that, because remember, if we allow things like this to happen, it's going to happen to you, your neighbor, your family member, or whatever. It's going to touch you one way or the other. And we talk about this. That's the title of this show, Understanding the Times in Which We Live in Today. That's the title of this show. And that's why this subject, my guest tonight, this subject is so important. When it comes to children, and you all know, I will fight for a child to the death. I don't care. I love the underdog, because the underdog is mistreated, discriminated against, and has no rights in this filthy, disgusting, secular world that we're allowing to happen. This melting pot. America is melting. So we all need to stand up and fight for people like this. Okay? So I want to thank my guest. I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. And our next show will be on Sunday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And God bless you, and we will stay in touch. We are friends on the social network. That's great. So we can stay in contact.
Right.
I just don't know what else to say. It was a powerful show. It was touching. And, I mean, like Bridget said in Reedsville, I'll pray for you. And
thank you.
I will do my best to try to get the word out for you also. Remember, the more people that speak up, all the better. Let's get the word out about this individual. That's what's so important.
Well, I speak out. I speak out because I want, if I can possibly save another parent or another child from this, then that's what I want to set out to do.
That's brave of you. And you see what she just said? She's thinking about the other children. She didn't even mention her child yet because she's unselfish. She's thinking about another child or family being harmed. And so you know what? We need to think about her and try to get the word out about the situation and story we heard tonight from our guest. So I really appreciate it, and hopefully the closing will work out good here. We have a lot of technical problems.
Well, thank you. Thank you for bringing me on your show. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. God bless. Take care.
In the councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex.
In Dallas, Texas, 3 shots were fired at President Kennedy's motorcade in downtown Dallas. The first reports say that President Kennedy has been seriously wounded by this shooting.
It is a big idea, a new world order.
It was almost as if it were a planned implosion. It just pancaked.
Either you are with us or you are with the terrorists.
Renewed hostile actions against United States ships on the high seas in the Gulf of Tonkin have today required me to to order the military forces of the United States to take action in reply.
Dr. Martin Luther King, the apostle of nonviolence in the civil rights movement, has been shot to death in Memphis, Tennessee.
Senator Kennedy has been shot. Is that possible? He still has the gun. The gun is pointed at me right at this moment. Take a hold of his thumb and break it if you have to.
People calling themselves members of the Weather Underground last night planted bombs in federal office buildings in Washington and Oakland, California.
They took the babies out of incubators and left the children to die on the cold floor.
Survivors of the USS Liberty are demanding a congressional investigation into what happened and acknowledgement that the Israeli Air Force bombed a U.S. intelligence Navy ship.
The death of bin Laden marks the most significant achievement to date in our nation's effort to defeat al-Qaeda.
The Taliban is taking responsibility for shooting down a U.S. helicopter. More than 30 people were killed, and there are reports this morning that most of them are U.S. Navy SEALs.
There may be a false flag incident where some ship goes down and you be used for the excuse to accelerate the next war.
If there's one thing that has unified Democrats and Republicans, and everybody in between, is that we all hated the bank bailout.
The Department of Homeland Security is...
Good evening. I would like to report on the state of our war against the American people. We're mounting a sustained campaign to crack down on every American and every person of every faith and every nation, and to bring them to justice. All missions are being executed according to plan, without warning or provocation. Americans are being swept up in an international dragnet. Thousands of FBI agents are on the trail of other citizens here and abroad. It has everything to do with hate and evil and murder and prejudice. America's strong.
Federal agents, we are armed!
What would you do if you knew all the things we know? Would you stand up for truth? Or would you turn away too? And then what if you saw all of the things that's wrong? Would you stand tall and strong? Or would you turn and walk away? What would you do if you knew all the things we know? Would you stand up for truth? Or would you turn away too? And then what if you saw all of the things that's wrong? Would you stand tall and strong? Or would you turn and walk away?
I see a message from the government. Like every day, I watch it and listen and call them all suckers. They wanted me about Osama or whatever. Picture me buying the scam. I said never. You in tune to a hard truth soldier spitting. I stay committed, gives a fuck to die, I lose commission. It's all a part of fighting devil state mind control, and all about the battle for your body, mind, and soul. And now I'm hoping you don't close your mind so they shape you. Don't forget they made us slaves, gave us AIDS and raped us. Another Bush season mean another war for profit. All in secret so the public never seek to stop it. The Illuminati, 666, all connected. Stole the votes, they control the race and take elections. It's the Skull and Bones Freemason Kill Committee. See the dragon getting shittier in every city.
What would you do if you knew all the things we know? Would you stand up for truth? Or would you turn away too? And then what if you saw all of the things that's wrong? Would you stand tall and strong? Or would you turn and walk away?
Now ask yourself who's the one with the most to gain. On 9/11 motherfuckers couldn't stand his name. Now even niggas waving flags like they lost their mind. Everybody got opinions but don't know the time. Cause America's been took, it's plain to see. The oldest trick in the book is making enemy. A phony evil so the government can do its dirt and take away your freedom, lock and load, beat and search. Ain't nothing changed but more colored people locked in prison. These pigs still beat us, but it seems we forgetting. But I remember 4 September how these devils do it. Fuck Giuliani, ask Diallo how he doing. We in the streets, holler jail to the thief. Follow, fuck waving flag, bring these dragons to their knees. Oil, blood, money, make these killers ride cold. Suspicious suicide, people dying, never told. It's all a part of playing God, so you think we need them. While being Ashcroft, take away your rights to freedom. Bear witness to the sickness of these dictators. Hope you understand the time, brother, cause it's major.
What would you do if you knew all the things we know? Would you stand up for truth? Or would you turn away too? And then what if you saw
records always come the same. Keep it real, ain't no fillers, motherfucker blingin'. Mine eyes seen the gory of the coming of the beast. So every story, every word I'm saying, fuck peace. See, you could witness the Illuminati body count. Don't be surprised, these is devils that I'm talking about. You think a couple thousand lies mean shit to killers? Nigga, I swear to God, we the ones, ain't no villains. Or any other word they think to demonize a country. Ain't no terror threat unless approval rating slumping. So I'ma say it for the record, we the ones that planned it. Ain't no other country took a part or had their hand in. Just a way to keep you scary so you think you need them. Praising Bush while that killer take away your freedom. How many of us got discovered but ignore the symptoms?